Donald William Don Felder is an American musician and songwriter, best known for his work as lead guitarist for the Eagles from 1974 to 2001. Early life and influences: Felder was born in Gainesville, Florida. From his paternal side he has German ancestry. He was first attracted to music after watching Elvis Presley live on The Ed Sullivan Show. He acquired his first guitar when he was about 10 years old, which he has stated he exchanged with a friend at the Five and Dime for a handful of cherry bombs. A self-taught musician, he was heavily influenced by rock and roll. At the age of 15 he started his first band, the Continentals, which also included Stephen Stills. Around this time, he met Bernie Leadon, who later became one of the founding members of the Eagles. Leadon replaced Stills in the Continentals, which eventually changed its name to the Maundy Quintet. Felder and Leadon both attended Gainesville High School in Gainesville, Florida. In the 1966 Gainesville High School yearbook, the Maundy Quintet is pictured next to another Gainesville High student and his early band, Tom Petty and the Epics. Felder gave Petty guitar lessons at a local music shop for about 18 months, at which time Felder also learned how to play slide guitar from Duane Allman. The Maundy Quintet recorded and released a 45 RPM single on the Tampa-based Paris Tau label in 1967, which received airplay in north-central Florida. After the Maundy Quintet broke up, Felder went to New York with a band called Flow, which released a self-titled improvisational rock fusion album in 1970. The 1970 Flow album has the distinction of being among the very first issued on the newly independent CTI Records label, founded by noted jazz producer Creed Taylor. Other artists on the label at the time were Quincy Jones, Freddie Hubbard and Kathy McCord. While in New York, Felder improved his mastery of improvisation on the guitar and learned various styles. After Flow broke up, Felder moved to Boston, where he got a job in a recording studio. There, through his friendship with Leadon, he met the rest of the Eagles in 1972. While they were on their first tour. In 1973, Felder moved to California where he was hired as guitar player for a tour by David Blue. He helped Blue put together a tour, during which they opened at a few Crosby and Nash shows in November 1973 and in opening the Roxy Theater in Hollywood, California for Neil Young and the Santa Monica Flyers. Felder replaced David Lindley in the Crosby-Nash band. He would also jam from time to time with the Eagles in their rehearsal space. Eagles: In 1974, Felder was called by the Eagles to add slide guitar to their song Good Day in Hell. The following day he was invited to join the band. The band started moving away from their initial country rock style in the direction of rock. On the band's fourth album, One of These Nights, Felder sang lead vocal on the song Visions, which he co-wrote with Don Henley, and arranged the title track's distinctive guitar solo and bass line. After founding member Bernie Leadon quit in 1975, Joe Walsh joined the band. Felder had jammed with fellow guitar player Walsh on occasion prior to Walsh's joining the Eagles, and together as dual guitar leads they would eventually become one of rock music's most memorable on-stage partnerships. The first album the Eagles released after the lineup change was Hotel California, which became a major international bestseller. Felder wrote the music for the album's title track, Hotel California, and had originally introduced it, as an instrumental demo, to Henley and band co-founder Glenn Frey, who initially named it Mexican Reggae. It would become the band's most successful recording. After the release of Hotel California and the tour that followed, the Eagles found themselves under tremendous pressure to repeat this success. Their next album, 1979's The Long Run, took almost 3 years to complete. The band broke up in 1980, ostensibly for good. Sparked by the success of the tribute album Common Thread, The Songs of the Eagles regrouped 14 years later for a concert aired on MTV television, which resulted in a new album Hell Freezes Over in 1994. For the live MTV performance, the band's signature song Hotel California was rearranged into an acoustic version and Felder kicked off the set by performing it with a new, flamenco-style intro he composed the day before. Felder performed with all current and former Eagles band members the hit Take It Easy, and Hotel California at the band's 1998 induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in New York City. He continued as a member of the Eagles through the year 2000. Post-1970s career. Following the 1980 breakup of the Eagles, Felder focused more on his family but also embarked on a solo career, concentrating on film composition and session work. He worked on the Bee Gees' 1981 album Living Eyes as a session guitarist. Through his association with Bee Gees producer Albhy Galloon, Felder also made session appearances on albums by artists as diverse as Diana Ross, Barbra Streisand, and Andy Gibb. During this time, he also contributed guitar work to Stevie Nicks' first two solo albums. Among his musical film credits in the 1980s are two songs on the soundtrack to the 1981 animated cult film Heavy Metal entitled Heavy Metal, and All of You with Jefferson Starship's Mickey Thomas as backing vocalist, as well as the title track Wildlife from the 1985 motion picture adaptation of Neil Simon's The Slugger's Wife. He also penned the song She's Got a Part of Me from the soundtrack to the 1985 romantic comedy Secret Admirer. Felder's television credits include FTV, a musical comedy show which he hosted from 1985 to 1986, and Galaxy High, the 1986 CBS cartoon series for which he scored and performed all of the music, including the series' catchy theme song. In 1983, Felder released his first solo album entitled Airborne. The album's single Never Surrender, co-written with Kenny Loggins, was a minor hit, having also appeared on the soundtrack to the popular motion picture teen comedy Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Nearly 3 decades later, on October 9, 2012, his second solo album Road to Forever was released, with Fall from the Grace of Love chosen as the lead single, a song that featured the harmony vocals of Crosby, Stills and Nash. Throughout his career, Felder is best known for his iconic live performances using the Gibson Les Paul and Gibson EDS 1275 electric guitars. This prompted the Gibson Guitar Corporation to honor him in 2010 with 2 signature reissues, the Don Felder Hotel California, 1959 Les Paul, and the Don Felder Hotel California EDS 1275. Felder himself is an avid guitar collector, having amassed close to 300 models since childhood. He almost sold his 1953/1954 Gibson Les Paul Gold Top at Manny's Music Shop while living in New York in 1970, but the offer was too low. Felder estimates that the guitar was worth between $3,000 to $4,000 at the time, and Manny's offered him between $150 and $300. To this day he has never sold any guitar he has owned. Felder currently tours with his own band. As of 2014, Felder is currently on tour with rock groups Styx and Foreigner. Personal. In 2000, Felder divorced his wife of 29 years, Susan Felder. They had met when he was a struggling musician in Gainesville, Florida. They had 4 children together, including Leah Jenner. He became engaged to Canadian real estate broker Catherine Nicholson in 2007. He claims that Nicholson was the driving force in helping him get over his split from the Eagles, his divorce, and to form a new band. Nicholson and Felder have a young son together. Felder penned the tell-all book Heaven and Hell, My Life in the Eagles in 2006. Released in early 2008 and quickly becoming a New York Times bestseller, the book allowed Felder to tell his life story, describe his often tumultuous relationships with Glenn Frey and Don Henley, and to relate his own version of his termination from the band in 2001. Termination and Lawsuit. On February 6, 2001, Felder was fired from the Eagles. He responded by filing 2 lawsuits against Eagles, Limited, a California corporation. Don Henley, an individual. Glenn Frey, an individual. And does one €50, alleging wrongful termination, breach of implied-in-fact contract, and breach of fiduciary duty, reportedly seeking $50 million in damages. In his latter complaint, Felder alleged that from the 1994 Hell Freezes Over tour onward, Henley and Frey had insisted that they each receive a higher percentage of the band's profits, whereas the money had previously been split in 5 equal portions. Felder also accused them of coercing him into signing an agreement under which Henley and Frey would receive 3 times more of the selected works, 1972 euro 1999 proceeds than would Felder. This box set, released in November 2000, has sold approximately 267,000 copies at about $60 apiece. Henley and Frey then countersued Felder for breach of contract, alleging that Felder had written and attempted to sell the rights to a tell-all book. Heaven and Hell, My Life in the Eagles was published in the United Kingdom on November 1, 2007. The American edition was released for publication by John Wiley & Sons on April 28, 2008, with Felder embarking on a full publicity campaign surrounding its release. On January 23, 2002, the Los Angeles County Court consolidated the 2 complaints, and on May 8, 2007, the case was settled out of court for an undisclosed amount. In a 2008 interview with Howard Stern, Felder affirmed that he remains friends with fellow former Eagles Bernie Ledon and Randy Meisner. When asked if he still has any contact with current Eagles members Don Henley and Glenn Frey, Felder stated that the only replies he gets are from their respective attorneys. Discography: Eagles albums, On the Border, One of These Nights, Their Greatest Hits, Hotel California, The Long Run, Eagles Live, Eagles Greatest Hits, Volume 2, Hell Freezes Over, Selected Works, 1972 euro 1999, The Very Best of, Eagles, Solo Albums, Airborne, Road to Forever, Soundtrack Contributions, Heavy Metal, Music from the Motion Picture, Track 6, Heavy Metal, Track 14, All of You. Fast Times at Regiment High, Music from the Motion Picture, Track 10, Never Surrender. The Slugger's Wife Soundtrack, Track 10, Wildlife. Secret Admirer Soundtrack, Track 4, She's Got a Part of Me. Nice Dreams Soundtrack, Track 4, A Walk in the Garden. Eagles Songs co-written by Don Felder, Visions from One of These Nights, Too Many Hands from One of These Nights, Victim of Love from Hotel California from Hotel California, The Disco Strangler from The Long Run, Those Shoes from The Long Run, Eagles song featuring Don Felder on lead vocal, Visions from One of These Nights, references. Bibliography. External links, Don Felder official website, Facebook official Facebook page, Don Felder at AllMusic, Don Felder at the Internet Movie Database, interview on WNYC Leonard LePage Show July 17, 2008, press release for Heaven and Hell, My Life in the Eagles, McLean Euro unregistered trademark S interview, Don Felder November 17, 2008, http www.stevelucartha.com 2012 Reggie Boyle talking with Don Felder ASPX